everyone, this is Ian Schaefer here, one of the Senior Product Specialists at UDA Technologies, and today we're going to be talking to you guys about cloud hosting with ConstructionSuite, QuickBooks, and a number of other utilities that UDA wants to make available to you through our new UDA Cloud Services. Joining me for our webinar today is Amanda Thomas, another of our product specialists here at UDA.
Hey guys, Ian, I have to tell you, I was so excited at the opportunity to be able to join. You guys, it's been probably about 2 years, Ian, since you and I have been able to host a webinar together. So I was really excited to be able to join specifically about this product, and about our partnership with AWS. It's super exciting. So thanks for having me, and to everyone else, welcome.
Yeah, and Amanda, as always, of course, happy to. This is actually a really interesting webinar for you to join in on too, because for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to talk to Amanda yet, she's actually one of the staff members who is not located in our main office. So today what we're talking about with cloud hosting is especially applicable with Amanda joining us today. And Amanda, of course,
it really is. It's 6 hours away. That's right, all the way in Nashville. So yeah. quite a drive.
It would be, and certainly not one that we're going to be doing every day.
That's right.
And along those lines, though, I do have another of our senior product specialists as well, Holly Gibson. She's joining us today on questions, on the keyboards. So as you guys are joining us or watching us through the webinar today as we continue, take a look at that GoToWebinar panel. If you guys have any questions about what we're working with today or anything that we show off, mention it through that GoToWebinar panel. There's a little question section. Just type up your questions and Holly would be happy to go into those. And as always, our goal is to make sure that we answer these questions as they come up. So if she has any that are flagged for us, then we're going to make sure that we touch on those as well as we go through our series today. Now, along those lines, too, as we're diving in and getting started, of course, UDA Technologies, over the past 20 years or so since we've been a technology company, a software company, we've grown a user base now of well over 500,000 users. I think we're a little over 600,000 users at this point. And that user base is spread pretty wide. I think we're over 75 countries now. And so we've got a very, very large user base. And we've got a lot of people that are coming in and working with us today. But as we're kind of pulling everything together, Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about why we chose the partner that we did?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy to. We partnered with Amazon's Web Services, what you guys will hear us obviously refer to today during our session as AWS, really in order to deliver a superior cloud hosting experience for all of our ConstructionSuite users, right? Better, faster, a much more affordable option than other options in the market. And the way that it works, you guys, is that all of our AWS users receive a personal dedicated cloud server for their company. It's optimized specifically for use with ConstructionSuite. And Amazon has a vast network, and we take full advantage of that by geographically locating each server based on, in this case, your specific location, right, in order to give you the very best speed and performance. We have even created UDA's AWS Connect, and I say that loosely. Ian really spearheaded that project, and he'll definitely speak to that here in a moment, but really is allowing all of our clients to easily launch their remote server directly from their desktop or their laptop with one click. I mean, it really never has been easier with this partnership.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and Ian, if we could also maybe dive into some of the benefits of hosting ConstructionSuite with AWS maybe versus other options in the market.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a great question too, because AWS has provided us with something very, very unique. As we're going through and taking a look at all of the different options that are available, we've had over the past probably 8 or 9 years, Holly can confirm this one as well, and Amanda, you've probably been around for some of them, we've tried a wide variety of partners. In the past, we've worked with companies like Cloud9 and Rackspace and Harbor Cloud, a lot of companies based in the United States that offer decent coverage across the United States. But again, the United States covers just one of the, again, 75 different countries that we work with. Now, Amazon is unique in this instance. Amazon is great because they have a very, very large, a global coverage, and you can actually see a little bit of this in the background for the image that we have up right now. They actually have what they refer to as 61 availability zones across 20 different geographic regions, and those around the world are covering everything from, of course, we've got several in the United States, but they've got some in Brazil. We have clients in Frankfurt, Germany, and we've got others based out of London and Dublin, Ireland. We've got some in Sydney, Australia, and we've got some that are using our region in Mumbai. They're truly everywhere. In fact, they're bringing more online regularly. And what Amazon has done is they've given us the ability to leverage the economy of scale in this case. Amazon is everywhere, and we can take advantage of that, or through that partnership, we can provide you excellent resources no matter where you happen to be. If you have job sites that are spreading out all across the globe, or if you guys are going to be working with projects perhaps while you're on vacation, maybe you decide to go on a Caribbean cruise. With that partnership with AWS, you never lose access. No matter where in the world you decide to go, you'll always be able to get access to not only ConstructionSuite, but also as you expand those needs, you'll see programs like QuickBooks that we offer through the hosting. You'll also see PlanSwift, or we've got clients that are using a wide variety of different tools and resources. All of it can be installed because what you're looking at is a full server available to you through any connected device, be it a phone or a desktop or a tablet or a Surface. All of them work fantastically well, and you'll be able to work with all of them, again, using some of these tools like AWS Connect or the built-in features like Remote Desktop in Windows. Now, along those lines, let's shift away from this fantastic little graphic that my team has put together for me today and on to the actual tools and resources that we have. Now, of course, with this hosting that we're offering through UDA Cloud Services, you'll find most of the information available on your desktop, but it's also going to be available through the cloud. Now, of course, the question comes up, what is the cloud? What does this mean? What kind of tools are we working with here? And with UDA Technologies specifically, you guys may know that we offer a lot of cloud solutions natively, like Construction Online. The idea with Construction Online is it's entirely web-based, and as you're going through and looking at the tools and the resources that you guys may have on Construction Online, you'll have access to these tools no matter where you go. All of this information is going to be available to you through the web, like here, where you'll have access to estimates and schedules. You'll be able to put together detailed proposals and reports that you would want to share with your customers. But the question always comes up, how powerful is it? And it's an interesting one for me because, well, two reasons. One, I'm a little older, so I also like my desktop software. But we also find that programs like Construction Online, which are designed with mobility in mind, tend to make certain decisions or move in certain directions so that you can use it wisely on a phone or on a tablet or a Surface or something small and mobile friendly. Well, with the desktop software, you'll find programs like ConstructionSuite here, which take advantage of all the resources that you have available on the computer. Now we just need to be able to get this from anywhere that we happen to be. Now, the other benefit to working with a program like ConstructionSuite is we do away with all the limits. There's no projects limits. There's no user limits other than whoever can access the computer itself. You can have 1,000 estimates on here. You can have 1 million schedules. You can have 10 million contacts. Anything that you want. The limits are gone with desktop platforms. And so as you're working with a system like this, you can get into and work with a wide variety of estimates. You can have in there thousands of jobs, be they opportunities that you're working with in sales management perhaps, or new leads that are coming in. And with cloud services, you have access to all of that information through AWS, available from everywhere.
And Ian, if I can interject for just a second, one question that I get asked quite often actually is, and I'm seeing a lot of our clients who have joined us that also have Construction Online. And so for those clients, I've got a lot of them that often ask me, I've got Construction Online too. Does this mean that this is, if I host with AWS, is the integration between my ConstructionSuite and my Construction Online, is that going to change? How does that work? Can we speak a little bit to that for some of our existing clients out there?
Absolutely, happy to. And actually, that's a fantastic question because as you're working with ConstructionSuite and Construction Online, that integration, that tool called SuiteLink, which is available for all of you TotalCare clients, SuiteLink is going to continue to connect your ConstructionSuite software and your Construction Online tools so that both of them will remain up to date and constantly talking regardless of where the programs happen to be. Now, one advantage that we have with hosting in this case, and it's interesting that you bring this one up, Amanda, most companies who are using desktop software or desktop in their office or laptops that they carry with them, when you close it and you walk away, it shuts down that connection, at least temporarily, between ConstructionSuite and Construction Online, which then means when you open it back up again and ConstructionSuite starts back up on the laptop or the Surface or whatever it might be, one of the first things that it does is it loads that information back from Construction Online, and sometimes it may take a moment or two for it to collect all of that data. Now again, with AWS, they offer, I think they refer to it as 11 nines of uptime, which is 99.999, some ridiculous number
Oh my
of
gosh.
nines. And they offer this uptime, which means that your server is always on, and it's always sharing this information. And anytime you need it, it's there. It's ready for you. It doesn't have to boot up. You don't have to load into it or anything like that. The information is there, which means SuiteLink is always working on to your benefit. And it's always happening in the background, so you guys don't have as much load time or as much waiting as you might have before. So great question in that one too, because it's always live.
Awesome. And I've actually got a follow-up then for you, Ian. Another question that I get asked pretty often refers to the uptime I think that you're talking about with hosting on AWS. Is, I've remoted into my ConstructionSuite before, it's been super slow. Is that what I can also expect with hosting on an AWS, cloud server?
Also a great question. And in this case, this is one of the few times you'll hear me say this. No, you shouldn't expect that actually with one of the cloud-hosted servers. To give you an idea of what we're looking at too, I actually have a couple of the different connection options available. So let's go ahead and log into one now. I believe I'm currently connected, through remote desktop right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log off. I've got ConstructionSuite still pulled up, but I'm going to switch from remote desktop to our AWS Connect. Now, AWS Connect, the ConstructionSuite Cloud Connection tool here, just allows you to log in at any point using your standard UDA 1 login. That's going to be your email address and the password that you set up. Once you do this once, by the way, all you have to do is click Connect, and it will take you into your account. Now, part of the beauty here of working with AWS is ConstructionSuite is still open because this is where I left it. We were working with the application, and wherever I leave off, if I'm in the office and I'm working on my desktop and I'm plugging away at ConstructionSuite and I'm opening up projects and we're loading into estimates, all this information is going to be available to me on Construction Online. When I shift to my Surface on a job site and I log in through AWS Connect or remote desktop there, well, guess what? It is exactly where I left off. The same estimate is open, the same proposal is loaded and ready and waiting for me to dive right back in again and continue where I left off. Everything is always exactly where you put it. And again, in this case, Amanda, we don't even have to worry about closing the programs in most cases. The information is just there for us when we need it. Now, this is probably going to pick up, and I already see some of the questions coming in about this one too. What happens if we forgot to log out on the computer or the laptop or the Surface, if we just closed it and walked off the job site? Well, conveniently in this case, that is not a problem at all. With the partnership that we have with Amazon, because this server is always available, and because ConstructionSuite is running on the server itself, hosted through one of Amazon's, again, 20 major hubs for computing power here, because this information is always online, if you close your laptop, you lose nothing. All that information is still available to you guys the second you log back in again. And in this case, if you forget to log out, no problem. All you have to do is log in on the other computer, and it just takes over the session that you left open. When you come back to the office, you can log back in again on your work computer, and it picks up again exactly where you left off. So all of those concerns go out the window in this case because your information is always available. Better in this case than if you were working on a web browser, which is going to remember everything, but you'll still have to load back into the feature. In our case, it's right here where we left off. So huge advantage for me being the old guy with my desktop software. I love it because, again, I can pick up exactly where I was, and if I want to put together a presentation for a client, I can actually load up all the information that I want to have on screen ahead of time, show up on their job site or show up in their home or whatever it is if we're meeting for coffee, and just pull it up and it's right there ready to go.
So we're logged in here, Ian, to an estimate, which is immediately leading me to QuickBooks integration questions, right? So I'm really interested to maybe chat with everyone that's joined us today a little bit about how that works. I know that one question that I get asked often, and in fact something that usually leads people to call in and ask me about AWS is, look, I'm not in the same office as my bookkeeper. I need them to be able to obviously manage our QuickBooks, but I also need them to integrate with my ConstructionSuite so I can do my job costing. Can we still do that? How does my accountant have access? Can we talk a little bit, since we're here within estimating, how that process works?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And actually, this is a great question as well, because we've had for years now, we've been a gold certified QuickBooks developer for 15 years. So we know QuickBooks, and we've been working with QuickBooks Desktop, especially since well before I started here 10 years ago. What this does, though, is it means that the ConstructionSuite and the QuickBooks integration is a necessary piece of running any smart company. And what you'll find then in this case is ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks will be talking back and forth. We have all the QuickBooks integration features and tools available in the estimate here. And because of this hosting, we can actually use the server that Amazon has provided us in this case and host QuickBooks with it. We can have both programs running here on the machine at the same time. And at any point, these computers can be set up, or these cloud-hosted servers can be set up so that your bookkeeper can log in and do everything they need to do with QuickBooks while you're logged in using everything for ConstructionSuite, updating your estimates, and also while your project managers are logged in updating their schedules from job sites as well. All of this happens simultaneously, and the best part about it is you would never see a speed decrease as a result of having everybody on these servers. Because of that economy of scale that Amazon makes available to us, we actually have the ability to log in and access this information and structure these servers to be the most optimized solution for you and your team. And what this looks like, of course, is on the server side itself, it's just a normal Windows computer. Everything that you want is going to be here. Everybody has their own desktop background. We can help you configure which programs are going to be available for which team members. You can set up all the files and the folders, even to the point when the question comes up, and I think, Amanda, this is probably on your list, but I'm jumping ahead here for a moment. If you ever needed to pull anything from a local computer, like another QuickBooks company file, because you're working on several, you can access all of this here directly through your normal Windows Explorer folder. In this case, if you're coming in and taking a look, we automatically set up not only the remote desktop connections, but especially AWS Connect to automatically link to your local drives, your local thumb drives, your local printers. Anything that you have access to on your computer, you can access here as well. So you can get to your QuickBooks company file, even if QuickBooks is hosted, if you need to get this up here. You could create a backup of your ConstructionSuite data and download it if you guys just like to have local copies as well. I see one of the questions came through, what happens if the server goes down? It's a great question because we've been working with Amazon now for actually a little over 2 years, I think. Maybe longer still, and we've never had an outage. Other than, I think one time, Amanda, were you here for Michael's birthday when one of the construction jobs down the road accidentally cut the power lines?
Oh, gosh.
That was the only outage that we had, and it was actually hilarious, but it was on our owner's birthday, and it was all because something happened here in our office, not on the cloud. So Amazon was completely secure, and as it turns out, they were online ready and waiting for us to come back just as soon as the guys fixed our power lines. Along those lines, too, one of the questions that Holly has flagged for me today is how secure is the information and how frequently is this information backed up? Now, again, this is part of the reason we work with Amazon in this case. Amazon, or AWS in this instance, has some of the most strict requirements for managing and hosting data here available through, again, the UDA cloud services or anything like that. They have what they refer to as GovCloud, which puts the strictest requirements that are available in the United States, and we use this. We take advantage of the fact that they provide serious encryption, serious security measures, even to the point that they don't tell us exactly where the server, their information is located, like the actual warehouses for the servers, even that information is confidential. This is the most secure system that we can be a part of. And as such, we pass that additional security onto you and your team as well. Not only that, but they give us the ability to create regular or recurring backups automatically for you and your teams too. So this information is always going to be backed up. And if you ever need us to step in and help you recover data, maybe because you've got a disgruntled employee who decided that they wanted to go through and wipe out everything, or maybe you realized that you overwrote something important when you were restoring a backup, again, no worries on that front. We can actually step in, restore everything, and have you back up and running within 5 minutes of reaching out to us by phone. So if anything ever comes up, or if you guys would ever like to lean on us to recover some information, we'd love to have that call. Just reach out to us and we're happy to get you guys back up and running. On top of the fact, by the way, that the new ConstructionSuite 10 has some additional recovery tools available right here in the software too. If it's one file, we have an excellent option for you to come into and pull some recovery information here. If it's more information, larger content, give us a call. We can pull that information for you there too and keep you up and running in no time.
And this is probably a good segue, Ian, into AWS logins. Another question that I get asked often is, well, can I just share my login information with my colleague or with one of my team members, and have them access ConstructionSuite that way? Can you speak a little bit to what that process is for our AWS users?
For sharing logins or for having multiple users on at a time?
Not multiple, for sharing logins, and really just how an AWS user is set up and what that process is like.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, for those of you who are interested in getting started with the cloud services, when you reach out to us, we're going to request a few key pieces of information. We, as the software experts, we're going to ask what kind of tools you guys would like to have online and available. So we're going to ask for various different programs you'd like us to install. We're going to ask for which printers you guys are going to have so we can set up all the drivers and everything like this. We're also going to ask who's going to be logging into the machine to make sure that we have the right users set up and available. Now, of course, as a security measure, I always recommend everybody get their own user profile and login. It really helps with accountability as well. If you have each individual logging into the platform, working within whatever they're allowed to have access to, be it ConstructionSuite or QuickBooks, maybe some people will have access to maybe like a PlanSwift and other people don't need it so they don't see it. Setting up the individual logins allows you running your team to pick and choose who sees what and avoid any of the clutter and confusion of just having one unified login that everybody plays kind of a musical chairs with to go in and see the same information. Now, of course, the added bonus in this case, not only do we keep that price point low, again, Amazon affords us that opportunity to provide, again, industry-leading services like UDA Cloud Services. We really do provide a lot of information like this, so having those multiple logins or having the multiple users getting in and working with their own workspace could never be easier. We set it up so that everybody can see what they want to see. Nobody's going to be confused with sharing folders or anything like that, and so on. Now, the question of could you share logins? Of course, I'm never going to recommend it. And some of the biggest pitfalls that you'll find in this case, if you did decide to, is the system would allow somebody else to take over your connection. So again, just like with sharing your email password or your PIN for your bank account, this again should be one of those protected pieces of information. This is yours, hold it tight.
It's probably important to note as well, Ian, that an AWS user is not always a ConstructionSuite user, right? You might have an accountant or a bookkeeper that is logging into the server here to access their particular application, but don't necessarily need access to ConstructionSuite. And there are certainly permissions in place that can really only allow certain AWS users into certain applications.
Yeah, and Amanda, you're absolutely right. What we find is a lot of people who have come to us for cloud hosting are coming to us because they might have used a system like Right Networks just for hosting QuickBooks. Now, of course, Intuit does have as a preferred vendor or preferred partner Right Networks. only because the only thing that they host is QuickBooks. So there's no clutter, there's no confusion, they keep it simple. Now we can make the information, we can make QuickBooks available just as quickly, and actually along those lines, we have a lot of clients that do exactly that. We had somebody come on board, what is today? Today is Tuesday, so yeah, it would have been yesterday. They actually came on board with us yesterday. Single license of ConstructionSuite, 5 users on the cloud. So only one person was actually getting into and working with estimating and scheduling and contract writing. We had 2 of them who are going to be using takeoff tools. In their case, it is PlanSwift. We had one that was doing bookkeeping with QuickBooks, and we had one that was just using it for file management. They were making sure the right documents were online, on this cloud-hosted server, the right people had access to the folders and everything like that. They did purchase additional storage because they wanted to move away from Dropbox to keep everything collected, which is one of the options that we offer as well. But in this case, they set it up, and to your point, Amanda, there's only one person using ConstructionSuite, and there's 5 of them who are logging into the server on a regular basis. Well, will be once they get in and start working with the platform. So far they've had it for a day, and I've only heard good things so far, and hopefully that continues as well.
So can we talk a little bit then, maybe Ian, about the installation, and setup process? Once a client comes to us and they're excited, they want to go ahead and move forward. Let's maybe outline, if we can, what that process looks like for them once they decide to get signed up. Are they? Because the question I get asked often is, well, do I have to do this setup? Like, do you guys just get me the server and then I install my ConstructionSuite and do all of my file transfers? Can we talk a little bit about that particular process for our clients and what we have in place to make sure that is a very smooth transition for them?
Absolutely. And actually, that's an interesting one too, because our process is probably identical to a lot of the processes that our users have in place for their construction projects. What we do when we're talking to anybody who's coming on board is we like to outline what they need first. And then we start to put together a plan that includes, which programs we're going to have, which users we're going to have, what they're going to access. In some cases, we'll have clients who are going to be storing sensitive information on here, like insurance documents or employee files or contractor license information in here too. All of that information can be defined ahead of time. We develop a scope for the server that we're putting together. Who gets to have access to what information, which programs you'd like to have online and accessible, and that's all part of the setup process that we offer, and still allows us to have a turnaround time once we get all that information together of usually 24 hours or less. Now, as we're making this information available to you, again, sometimes things change, and unlike some of the projects that you guys are working on, we don't always require big change orders with additional contract adjustments for some of the smaller changes, like adding in a new printer, for example, or installing maybe a file viewer that's a little bit more unique. Of course, most of them will come preloaded with Chrome and Firefox and Edge and Adobe Reader. Most of them come with ConstructionSuite as well, but we can add just about any other programs. And in most cases, all we need is a call or an email. We also have a deep support team. We've got several members of our staff here who are ready and available to help with any additional adjustments that are requested or required. And as I mentioned earlier, Amanda, and I think your question kind of came to this one as well earlier, we are software experts. We've been in the software industry now for 2 decades. And so what we can do is we can actually manage or maintain most of the software, running updates or upgrades, handling the backups and things like this, while Amazon, who's been in the technology industry providing cloud-hosted solutions for 15 years, we let them manage the hardware, we take care of the software, you guys all reap the benefits. And that's kind of our structure in this case. So if you would like anything extra, give us a call. We're happy to help. Or send us an email if you've got a request. And we try to take care of everything after hours, or in case of emergency, we can take care of it right away as well if there's something that needs to be added in. Great question, Amanda. Now, I do have, real quick, as we're putting together some of the extra ones here too, there was a question earlier about responsiveness as well. So this actually, not to play story time for a moment, but again, UDA Technologies, we've been providing software solutions for years. And part of that journey has led us to taking a look for cloud solutions like this one many times over the years. In fact, I think the first attempt at cloud hosting for ConstructionSuite that I'm aware of did actually happen about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago with UDA Technologies, where we took ConstructionSuite and we made it available on the cloud-hosted network that we were working with at the time, and it was slow. The technology wasn't really there yet. It wasn't time. We tried. We found that it was kind of laggy, or it didn't have the performance that we thought should represent UDA. So we didn't move forward with that at the time. Now, between that and our next iteration for what we called CS Cloud, it was about 5 years, and in that time we saw people coming in and using Cloud9 or Rackspace or even some of the people hosting through like Citrix or Microsoft perhaps. As they stepped through that process, we thought, well, maybe the technology after 5 years has adapted enough. So we did. We partnered with, I think it was Cloud9 at the time, to see how long it would take. But of course, they're hardware people in this case. They make the virtual machines and they share it through the cloud. They didn't really get the software part. So it took an hour or so. And it made it a little bit tough for us. Again, not really what we wanted to represent UDA in this case. So again, we waited. And we tried another partnership with MyQuickCloud. That one was actually, it was great. The biggest hurdle that we ran into there, though, with MyQuickCloud was their model for hosting. It was a little different than we wanted. Most of theirs at the time was structured around self-hosting. So then the responsibility for keeping the software up to date still falls on you, the user. This is okay. But we prefer to take care of most of this for hosting solutions because we know when the updates are coming out and we know how to take care of those updates. And again, we're familiar with the common pitfalls and everything. We're the experts in these tools. So we thought, well, let's see if there's a better option out there. We did some comparisons actually between Amazon and Microsoft. Azure. Yeah, we did that comparison for a little while. And as it turned out, we chose Amazon because the price point was smarter, but the effectiveness of the computers it just blew them out of the water. And it's Microsoft, and we thought for sure Microsoft is going to be competitive, and not even close. This computer that I'm using right now for the webinar, this computer is, spec-wise, it's about 2 iPads. It's about as smart as 2 iPads together. Should be much slower than the computer that I'm using here on my local computer. But even though the specs are not quite on paper as strong, the performance that you get out of this cloud-hosted server is actually about twice that from my physical computer. So if I'm going through and I'm working with anything here, you guys can kind of see the responsiveness and everything that's kind of coming together. If you guys have worked with ConstructionSuite, you'll know that in a lot of instances as you're going through and generating things like new schedules or new estimates, usually there's about a minute or two as it pulls the information together. On this server, which again on paper would seem unremarkable, it's coming through in record time, seconds, what would have normally taken minutes.
Yeah, that's a big schedule. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's a few hundred tasks in here, and as it's going through and working with it too, any updates that we do are happening instantaneously. So as you're going through and you're moving information around, again, it's just gonna happen. The information is just gonna go where it needs to be, and if you are uploading details to Construction Online, again, the server's always online, so it takes care of that in the background. Less work for you, less waiting for you, which means that you can spend your time more effectively and intelligently doing other things, whatever you want to be doing, instead of, clicking and waiting. Or what was at the International Builder Show, one of the jokes that we had, since we were right between two of our competitors, is we were looking at the spinning wheel of death. At one of our competitors, they had the Builder Trend pinwheel that would always show up whenever you were waiting for something to load. And then on the other side, it was pretty pictures but no function. But it was really interesting because then we can pull up something like this and we can be done. We had what we referred to as the 2-minute drill that we used to make that decision. We went from just a lead to a completed proposal in 2 minutes using one of these AWS hosted computers. And if you guys are interested in seeing it, give us a call. Take a look. We actually have these online, and we can provide demonstrations that use these tools exactly, and we can actually share logins as we're going through that demonstration if you guys are interested in getting in and comparing to some of the old systems that you might have used in the past.
Ian, we've got a really interesting question coming through that was on my list to bring up as well, which is, how does UDA address Construction Suite licensing when it's hosted on a cloud server? So now might also be a good time to talk a little bit about concurrent users and what that looks like for, those people that are evaluating Construction Suite with us in conjunction with Amazon's hosting services.
Right, you are. Yeah, and it is actually the perfect time, Amanda. Good call. So as we're looking through this, ConstructionSuite and the partnership that we have here with AWS and Amazon takes advantage of the fact that Windows has built in a feature, a function that allows multiple people to log into the same computer and use the same data and the same tools all at the same time. Now, traditionally, ConstructionSuite has one license key per user per computer. And so if you have this installed on your computer at home, that's going to be one license that you dedicate to your home computer. Then there would be a second license that you might dedicate to your work computer, a third license that you would hand off to your bookkeeper, and then it just becomes this juggle where you have everything set up like that. Now that would be three licenses, but if your bookkeeper has a laptop that they use that they bring to your office, but a desktop that they use back at home as well, that might be 4 licenses, and as you can tell, it kind of racks up quickly. Now with cloud-hosted solutions like this one at Amazon, or through the AWS partnership, we have available a new licensing structure that allows you to license it per user instead. And because everybody's going to be using this one computer, we could set it up so that ConstructionSuite might have 2 licenses available on this one login. So Amanda, you and I could actually be logged in at the same time. I could be putting together some of the contracts while you're handling all the estimates and the schedules and maintaining all of our contacts and chasing all the subs, the fun stuff. And then as we continue, if we needed to add in a third seat, again, at that point, most of us would probably call you up, Amanda, call the normal line and speak to you about adding the additional seat in, and we just turn it on. It's like flipping a switch in this case. So then we could have the 3 seats available. Now, of course, you'll still need all the users to support this on the cloud-hosted server, making sure that we're handling that smart. But then once you do that, you could have 3 users in here working with ConstructionSuite at a time. And this is, Amanda, what you were referring to earlier is the concurrent users. 3 people at a time. QuickBooks has a similar model, especially as you're looking at QuickBooks Enterprise, where you can have 2, 3, 5 users set up and have 5 of them at a time in using QuickBooks on one of these cloud-hosted servers. And that kind of leads to our most common package as well. With ConstructionSuite, we tend to find a lot of people gravitate toward the 5-user server license for their cloud-hosted solution. They'll have a QuickBooks Enterprise that has 5 licenses, and that way all 5 users can be on there doing what they need to do all at the same time, and nobody ever has to wait for somebody to log out. That's probably the most painful part of the conversation that I've had with people who are coming from old RDS systems or old terminal servers or something like that. They end up clicking, they get some kind of a message that says, there's too many people already logged in, you have to wait your turn. We don't have time for that. We're all busy people, so we set it up so that the ConstructionSuite software is licensed in such a way that it's smart. If you've got 3 people that need it, great. We'll have 3 seats for you here on the server so that you can log in and everybody gets theirs. No more waiting, no more taking turns, no more musical chairs. All of that goes out the window, so it's set up perfectly for you and your team. Certainly sending in a lot of great questions in here too. It does look like Holly has actually been on top of most of these as well. She's only flagged a couple for us to go back and review. But along those lines too, I know that there are several of you out there who are in need of some cloud-hosted solutions. Maybe, again, Amanda, you kind of outlined that company earlier that might have 1 or 2 people who uses ConstructionSuite, maybe a bookkeeper states away, which, by the way, I see that happening more and more frequently today. QuickBooks Pro advisors or bookkeepers, we tend to be pretty easy to find, but sometimes the best ones are a little bit outside of what I would consider to be a comfortable commute. Amanda, I wouldn't ask you to drive down here to handle a little bit of upkeep.
Thank you.
For a couple hours.
It'd be a long drive.
Yeah, especially for a day trip.
Yeah.
But along those lines, this is the future. Cloud hosting solutions with systems like QuickBooks and ConstructionSuite and PlanSwift, having these available and accessible no matter where you happen to be. Again, our client that works on a server based out of Frankfurt. They work on projects. They build hotels, and it's all across Europe. The last project that I was aware of that they were working on was actually on one of the islands in the Mediterranean. So as you're working through these, that ability to spread your area of influence and your area of building, it's worth another thought. If you start to implement and take advantage of some of these cloud-hosted solutions, suddenly you're not constrained by that wheelie chair at your desk. You can get up and move around and drive around and really work on projects that you wanted to go capture, that you thought were a little bit out of reach before, and now they're not. So,
well, and keep the power of ConstructionSuite too, which is huge for those users that, have been with us for 20 years using ConstructionSuite. And Ian, I located the mystery question here, and I'll go ahead and answer it. The question was, how do you address licensing of additional software, right? So we've talked a lot today about QuickBooks and hosting, QuickBooks as another application on the server. But we actually have several different tiers. It's a great question. Several different tiers, all of which really kind of outline number of users as well as the number of hosted applications that you would need. And again, I'm certainly happy to speak with you one-on-one a little bit about where you guys would fall. The first tier gives you up to 3 hosted applications. The next tier gives you anywhere from 3 to 7 applications. So a lot of really fantastic options.
Mm-hmm. And along those lines too, most software that's developed for a business environment has some form of concurrent licensing structure available. So we reach out to each of these companies as the requests come in and confirm that we've got the right packages available. If we do need to make any updates, we will reach back out to you and share that information with you, put you back in touch with the person who you'd need to have the discussion with if we can't have it ourselves. But beyond that, it's exactly like you said, Amanda. You'll have the ability to install a varying number of programs that we will support on the servers. And as you guys kind of work through those, we still do the same thing. We maintain the programs, we'll keep them up to date, we'll run any updates or upgrades that are required on request or as we see them come through. And in most cases, we have partnerships with a lot of other companies, again, like Microsoft for Office 365 or PlanSwift and eTakeoff and several of the other takeoff programs, QuickBooks, of course, even through various other what I would consider to be slightly more common desktop solutions or file hosting solutions like a Dropbox or a OneDrive. Now, granted, for most of those, since we can just pull the files into ConstructionSuite directly, we don't have to install anything extra for those. But again, we've got a library of probably over 200 different partner applications at this point. And so if there is something extra that you need, we probably already work with those companies to provide those solutions. And if not, we're happy to have that discussion with anybody else who provides solutions for our mutual clients. So let us know who it is, and we'll make sure that it happens. Now, one of the follow-up questions, by the way, is in regard to QuickBooks. To integrate ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks, do they need to both be installed on the same AWS server? The answer to that one is yes, and you'll want to anyway. That integration for ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks is a two-way integration, but it's a direct integration. The best part of hosting is being able to access this information everywhere. And with QuickBooks especially, if you find yourself at a coffee shop and you need to get a report put together just because you're curious or because you've decided that maybe a new line of credit is going to be right, well, you can pull all the information into ConstructionSuite from QuickBooks and then pull up your WIP report, go to the bank, sit down and say, hey, let's just take a look at it right here. If you guys also have an Office 365 account, we could export this into an Excel spreadsheet and email it over to the bank manager or whoever it is that we're going to be working with in this case. And again, all the information is going to be right here and you guys would have access to it all the time. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, no problem, you have access to it. If you happen to go on a little trip and the car breaks down and you need something to do for a few minutes, no problem, you have access to it. If you're on a Caribbean cruise, no problem. It's right there ready for you. Not that I recommend doing it.
I was going to say, I would hope that they're not working on their Caribbean cruise, but
oddly enough,
but it is possible.
It wouldn't be the first time. And it wouldn't be the first time.
That's true. Again, that is very true.
the fact that the information is always available is going to make you want to put it on there and work with these programs too. So again, take advantage of this accessibility, and again, for the effort that it takes you to get started, which is negligible, by the way. All we need is a phone call, and even if you guys are just mulling over the idea, again, think about it. For less than the cost of, I think our owner used to get a foot-long sub every other day or something like that. This whenever he talks about his old construction projects, they were still $5 foot-longs at the time. Now they're probably closer to 8 to 10. But you could still, I mean, for one sit-down meal for you and your team, you could have access to this for everything for the month. That's about the price comparison. In fact, depending on the size of the team, it might be a little bit less expensive to have access than to feed your team. But again, if you guys do have any interest in this, give us a call. Again, if you'd like to reach out to me, you can always give us a call at the 800 number, 1-800-700-8321. If you are interested in receiving any quotes, Amanda, I think you mentioned that you've already got everything put together and ready to go. Is that right?
I do, actually. So you guys, again, can certainly give either myself or Ian a call. Again, our number here directly is 800-700-8321. That's our main line. Ask to speak with either one of us. I do have, Ian, a lot of that already put together. You guys can also email me directly. Again, my name's Amanda Thomas, and my email is Thomas, Thomas, at UDA1, and the 1 is numeric.com.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, we are recording this session today. So if you guys are interested in going back through and taking another look, or just pulling some of the numbers that we've discussed today, by all means, feel free to come find us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search for UDA Technologies, and you'll find our channel, which has hundreds of videos, including this one at the top. So find everything that you need, not just for the training resources, but also for excellent recorded webinars. I think they're excellent recorded webinars.
They're fantastic.
But all of these resources are available on YouTube all the time as well, so feel free to come take a look at those there. And for now, I think we've covered most of the questions. Holly has been very diligent in keeping up with these. But if you do have any follow-up questions, don't forget you can reach out to us anytime, and we will be reaching out to all of you who joined us today. So again, we're looking for the additional questions, and we're hoping to solve a lot of your office constraints problems right now with this. With cloud hosting, we find that everybody's mobility and their effectiveness in getting jobs done increases substantially. So hopefully we can provide those solutions for you and your team as well. And for now, though, I think we are going to wrap the session today. Don't forget, though, there's another Lunch and Learn that we're going to be doing next week. On Wednesday, Holly will be actually sending out the details for that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend this one. I'll be working with another of our teams down in Florida who's going to be bringing us down for some on-site training. Again, one of the many opportunities that we love to provide. So if you guys are interested in that too, give us a call. For everything else, though, hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. And Amanda, I think that's going to be a wrap for us, correct?
That's a wrap. You guys, again, thanks so much for joining us. And Ian, thank you for having me. This was a ton of fun today. And folks, we look forward to working with you guys again soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and take care.